YouTube, how's all going? Welcome, episode number 2 of Lynk and Scarpad's Got Issues. We still do. We haven't worked them out yet. We're trying. We're going to counseling. We'll get better as time goes on. Today, we're talking about a series from Chip Zdarsky and Jacob Phillips. I'm not sure now. Jacob Phillips, I think, did he co-write it, or is Jacob Phillips the artist?
I believe he's an artist, but I think
he's a co-writer too.
I could believe it because I believe he's a co-writer of that Texas Blood as well. His dad, Sean Phillips, has done a lot of work with like Ed Brubaker and stuff like that.
Cool.
Pretty legendary.
I bring you here. I bring this guy here for the knowledge. Knowledge he's got down.
I try.
Anyways, what we're looking at today is a comic and a graphic novel called Newburn. And that stands for a character, Easton Newburn, who is a
interesting name.
Fixer, ex-cop, fixer, kind of coordinator, investigator for like all the mobs in New York.
Private investigator for the crime
families. Investigator for the crime families and for the police, at least they want him to be. Yet the police are presented as yet another crime family in New York, not presented all that well in this book. But the characters are Easton Newburn. Easton. Detective Casey.
Interesting name.
Who's a detective he works with, or sometimes I think he has on the hook. Emily. Did Emily get a last name? I don't know.
They might have. I might have overlooked it.
Emily is a ex police. She started off at the academy. Cadet. Also, we have Sidney Tallard, who is Emily's partner at the police academy. So basically, what these characters go ahead.
I was gonna say, and Henry, Newburn's driver.
Oh, that's right.
Henry. I think his name was Henry. Yeah.
Did I miss Henry? Yeah, Henry didn't talk that much.
That's all right. No, he didn't.
So basically, it starts off with you introduced Easton Newburn at a crime scene that's taking place for one of the crime families. And there you meet Detective Casey, who's allowing him to come onto the scene and walk through it with all the other cops saying, hey, what's this guy doing here? Because this guy was a cop. He walked away. Kind of maybe he was dirty, kind of, or at least he didn't want to be dirty. He has a line in the comic book that says basically, if I did
the hook they revealed for that, because they kind of before they got to that part,
I would be dirty, but I'm not dirty because I'm not doing it as a cop. Basically, so.
I thought there was going to be I will get to that, but I thought there was going to be a heavier hook for a reason for why he did the turn that he did. But
the reason I guess it's alluded to in the book is basically all those years as a cop, he realized that there was no way as a cop he could do anything to get the whole city to come together and not just explode. But as a ex-cop investigator who would work with all the crime families
between the lines,
this he could keep it from boiling over. At least that's his justification. So he had
a badass scene where he kind of established that towards the end. Not too far ahead, but he was like, "This is my city." He was like, he said something like, "Make no mistake."
Yes, and that's all rationalization in his head because in essence, he is the ultimate crime boss or the ultimate boss of New York. That he sees himself that way, at least. That he's the one that they all come to, and that it's almost like a Heisenberg. I am the one who knocks. Basically, in this book, where he says to Emily. Now, Emily was a police cadet with this guy, Sidney Tallard. They had a accident where one of the albino family, I think it was his son,
is one of the crime the mafia's nephew
accidentally kills himself, falls on a dumpster, I think it was, and he's dead.
Well, she kind of, it was, what would they call that, like manslaughter, because she inadvertently, because she was like self-defense, but because of the way she hit him, he fell back and hit his head and killed himself. So
basically they decided they're going to hush it up because no good could come from that. she ends up quitting the force.
Yeah.
But he's got to kind of have her over the barrel. So when Newburn comes to investigate this newest crime, and the kid who's seen running from the scene of the crime is somebody that that Emily knew. Basically, she was hiding the cocaine in the apartment.
So just for the audience, because I think we glossed over a little bit,
Right.
Emily is like Newburn's assistant, if you will, his
Not
protege.
yet.
Now, in a sense, he's training her, but he's blackmailed her into this position.
Right, because basically he comes into the thing. He finds all this out, that the guy who ran out with the drugs that they run out, the bag was empty, that the drugs are still there. And he doesn't know anything about Talon at the moment, but Talon's the ones that is working kind of with this guy, and he has information on Emily. So in order for that not to come out, she does basically what he says. Although she's involved in it somewhat too. She pulls a gun on him, and instead of basically saying that she knows she's fucked because the crime family is gonna blame her
for taking the kilos and getting the dude shot and
and all that. So he says, "Well, I want to work." He pulls her into his orbit. She's aware of him, and then he says, "I want to work with him," because he knows he's got somebody that he has a little bit of leverage over, that is an intelligent person that he wants to, go ahead and work with her. So she becomes his assistant, basically. He's keeping her out of the real dirty stuff, the stuff that only he can do. But she's doing
he kind of, not in a sense, not really, but he kind of reminded me of Dexter in the sense where it's like he's using evil to combat evil. In a way, and Dexter did that essentially. Like Dexter, he was messed up character. The show, for anybody who's wondering, it's showing Showtime about a serial killer who only killed serial killers. But he's channeling the darkness to try to get some positivity out of it, I guess is the easiest way to say it.
And the crime families involved here, the Albanos, the
Yakuza,
Russian Raka, the Yakuza, and the cops. And basically a lot of the story is kind of told point of view from Emily's perspective, since she's writing in a journal about everything that's kind of going on and her impressions of Newburn as this all goes on.
One thing I will say about speaking on relationships, I like how his relationship with the crime families is kind of tenuous, I guess you would say, in the fact that it's like they use him and he is their go-to guy, but they're all just waiting for him to drop the ball because he's got so much information on them. He's kind of blackmailing them. And so they're just like, they want to, they can utilize him, but they'd get rid of him as quick as they can if they had the opportunity. Right,
but as he said, information and they have that scene where
knowledge is power.
Yeah, knowledge is power. I mean, he they arranges once he gets the cops come in, and he knows the cops have him over a barrel, and he says to Emily, either we work with them or they kill us, and they disappear us, or they kill us. So we're gonna kind of make it appear like we're working with them, but we can't let any of the crime families know, because that they're not going to want to have this happen at all. They do actually find out, take him down to a pier at one point. But yeah, he has all this knowledge. So they arranged for him to even go into jail on a trumped up charge, because that's where the book. I would say when you said issues 1 through 4, at the end of issue 4 is where he's dealing with the cops, where the cops want him to come on board. And then in issue 5, all of a sudden, we see him in jail. And it's kind of said in the exposition. You're not really sure what the hell's happened.
I thought I missed something. I was like, wait, And that was a good issue. I like that issue a lot.
Issue number 5 was a good issue. He's in jail because, they basically arranged for him to be there so that they could find out that this guy who he's becoming his cellmate is the guy who they're looking for that killed the guy.
Right.
And he actually, unless I'm mistaken, this is the one time where he gets his hands dirty and he does the deed. Doesn't he do the deed at the end?
No. So with the Salvatore situation, he essentially, so the dude, in prison when he was about to get jumped and that dude's causing a favor, the Salvatore dude. That Salvatore dude was the one who was ratting on the crime family on the outside, but instead he didn't think they could get to him since he was in prison. And so Newburn he had an idea, but Newburn going to prison and getting the confession out of that dude,
Right. But I
essentially.
also think at the end when he's on the phone talking to the guy, that he says, "This is the guy for sure."
No, but then you see he leaves and you see people walking up to Salvatore's cell and insinuating they're gonna shank him.
Okay.
Or do something.
So he just gets out. He's out. You know.
Yeah, he's exonerated because of some evidence his assistant brought forth for that murder charge.
And of course, him going to jail is tough because everybody is in jail that he's put
in there.
As either as an ex-cop or as this kind of like fixer type guy. I almost had feelings of kind of like a Ray Donovan type of thing, you know.
Absolutely, Ray Donovan.
Except Ray Donovan did it for Hollywood.
Speaking of live action, I was imagine this quite a bit. Colin Farrell, I know you might not think it at first, but like, have you seen him in not True Detective season 2? Not the best show, but I liked his role in that, and also as the Penguin. He had I think Colin Farrell could do great as a Newburn live action.
This could be adapted pretty well to live action. Because it's that type of story. So we get the issue I think it's in 6 and 7 is when we start getting flashbacks, and then we get flashbacks for Emily and for some stuff with Newburn that kind of pieces together some of the stuff that the overall what's happening. That's when we flash back to her time as a police
like
cadet.
Oh shit, she was a police cadet. Yeah,
right. And so we get and that it didn't feel out of place, but it did kind of momentarily stop the story as we kind of go back,
because it was so it was a little shocking because from like I don't maybe if they introduced it a little earlier, but it was kind of like a last minute surprise almost. Like, hey, she used to be a police cadet, which I'm sure Newburn was aware of. He vets people, but when he's tracking them down, so. But it wasn't. I didn't mind it, but it was a, just like, oh shit, a no shit moment, which it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
And then after that, we get the final part of the story where he's coming up against Yakuza member boss that was killed.
Yep.
And
which.
Well.
So I had to wrap my head around the ending of that. I think what happened with that was because obviously the end game was that people we didn't get to it, but the Tyler, whatever, the partner that Scarpad mentioned earlier, Emily had saved him from getting his ass. He was getting his ass beat. That's how the one dude got killed. But he ends up becoming a cop. He sees Emily there, and his life's turned to shit. Like, he's become a cop, but he owes money to the crime families because he's always gambling, and so he's in debt. And so he calls them with this bit of information. Once he sees Emily, he's like, "Oh, I haven't seen her in years." And he calls the crime families, and he's like, "Yo, I know who killed your nephew."
Right.
So they're essentially coming after her. But what I got with the Yakuza stuff was the second in command, or whatever, he killed the Yakuza boss, but was trying to pin it on somebody else. And so what Newburn did is he had the Yakuza dude take the fall for the Albano kill,
right?
And that way they let Emily off. Emily got off scot-free, if I read that correctly.
Right, because otherwise they would be coming.
They're coming right
for her, right? So everything kind of worked out in the end, and we see some of the artwork in it. And it's very good. I mean, very
great artwork.
Well done. Really gives that noir type of feeling to this.
They excel in that. What's funny is as I was reading this book, he's done another book. I believe his first book was That Texas Blood, Jacob Phillips.
Right.
And I read the first arc. I heard it's gotten a lot better. I'm going to pick that up again. But I kept seeing ads for that, and I was like, why are they advertising his book? Because I saw ads for his other Chip Zdarsky books. I understood that because he's writing this. And then I was talking to one of my buddies, earlier today, and he was like, yeah, Jacob Phillips that did That Texas Blood is the artist. And I was like, no shit. Now it makes sense why there's ads for that book in Newburn. But yeah, I don't know why I didn't piece together that this is Jacob Phillips. But yeah, beautiful artwork. I wanted to go to a page really in particular that I really loved. It was issue 7, but just they colors here. He's just man, he's learned a lot from his
one thing I did notice, and this is the old debate we have of reading digitally and reading
physical.
on page, because I have the trade paperback. So
Nice.
I read about half the book in the trade paperback, and then because I was doing it at night, I read probably the other half. I love this page right here, this panel.
Yeah,
it's really, really good. I read
honestly, my bad, not to cut you off real quick, but just to say the art is very cinematic and Norrish, and
Right.
executed very well.
Yeah, all the stuff that's done in shadow is fantastic.
5 is, yeah.
And as you said, 5 is probably the best, probably my favorite issue of the run.
It showed the capabilities of the situations a character like Newburn is able to get in and get himself out of. So that was interesting.
And here's we see where we're jumping ahead and back, 2022, 2016, 2006. You can see how it's jumping all around here, 2016. And that's the issue where it really kind of does that.
That issue 6 flash, but yep.
And there's issue 7. Now the thing, as I was saying, I noticed is one of the tablets I read on is an OLED Samsung, and it's very vivid. And the book itself isn't as vivid as this. The book does have colors, but they're a little bit more muted.
Doesn't pop as much.
They don't pop as much, and that's why I think either redone for digital or just because your tablet is set in a vivid mode and it's boosting the colors, it does show stuff that's not there. It's not.
I could see that.
Totally muted, but it's muted more than what you're seeing it on the digital page. So,
I didn't believe it for sure.
Sometimes that does have an effect on when you're reading it. But for being a noir story, though, there is quite a bit of color. You'll notice that at times you don't, like in this page right here, you get kind of a muted type of page here, and then immediately afterwards you go back to the all red and the very vivid stuff. So,
but to emulate like emotion, like there'll be certain panels where it's like someone screaming, like they use the colors to emulate feel or emotion almost, because when someone's yelling or something tense going on, you might get a solid black or solid red background to kind of exemplify the intensity of the situation that's going on. Like you just passed. But no, I was really blown away, honestly. I think he's leveled up quite a bit from that. I mean, admittedly, I haven't peeped Jacob Phillips' work since the first arc of that Texas Blood, and that was about, was that 2020? So it's been like 2.5
I read the first arc too. I fell off the book, but I should go back to it.
Yeah,
I haven't started reading any of his run on Batman yet. Chip Zdarsky, and
I read one issue. I'm late to the game. I'm getting back into it, but that's something I'm definitely going to get caught up on.
Because it's I read his Afterlife series they did for Comixology, and I read a few other things. That
was Jeff Lemire. I keep telling you.
I'm pretty sure. I could have swore it was Zdarsky, but it
look it up right
maybe
now.
It was Lemire. I know Zdarsky did do a thing for Comixology. I forget which one it was.
Maybe I could be miscorrected. That's rare, but no, I'm just kidding.
No, you have the knowledge. I'm more the electrical guy. You got the knowledge, but I was just saying, I love this book. I'd like to see more come of it. I'd like to see more characters come out of it.
I want to know more about like the background characters, like his relationship with the police chief. I think she was that puts the gun in her. He's the one that was like, "This is my town. You work for me."
Right.
Henry, his driver. What?
Gets in.
Yeah, like what? Why is he so trusted? So faithful to Newburn when everyone else is kind of like, I'll talk to Newburn, but fuck that guy. Essentially, like Newburn's an interesting character. I would definitely like to see more because he's Emily stated in the series. He's got a weird set of morals.
I don't know if there's any really positive characters in this book, as far as.
See, I want to say not positive, but just they're real characters.
These are all anti-heroes for the most part. There's not, anybody
Not
that's
Emily.
really.
Emily is
Yeah, I guess Emily's the
good,
closest you
bro.
would get, but she's got
And we
great
don't know
long
much
hair.
about Henry, and
Right.
he's pretty clean so far. But you're right. This book is definitely built on a world of the shadowy crime figures and the crime life and shit like that. So it's not gonna be. It's gonna be a lot of visceral, dirty, grimy shit going on.
Well, the interesting part of the book is what's going to happen when the other crime families find out that basically Newburn believes he's the ultimate power in New York City and he's the ultimate boss. That they're all kind of working for him, but they're all at his beck and call. Will there be
Yeah,
a big cry to take him out, or how will
that'd
that
be.
happen?
I could see that. Like, I could see just everything coming to a head where it's like he's got everyone coming down his fucking back, like the police, the Russians, the mob, the mafia, the yakuza,
Mm-hmm.
all of them. The Black Castle, that was a cool idea. I would like to see explored further because they kind of
Right.
reminded me
Well,
of the hotel in John Wick a
oh
little bit.
yes. I was going to mention that. Thank you for bringing that up. That Black Castle was very John
Yeah,
Wick like.
yeah.
I got that vibe immediately. Of course, that's not the first time they did that. Didn't they do that movie Hotel Artemis and all that? That was kind of like that,
You know what? Yeah, oh shit, I didn't even think of that. But yeah, Hotel Artemis. That was a solid movie though. That was actually a pretty
Yeah,
good movie. But
but yeah, I get the vibe. I was gonna say, all the flashbacks we saw. The only thing we didn't really get flashback of at all is anything to do with the main character, Newburn. I mean,
Newburn,
again,
he's a
nothing.
man shrouded in mystery. I think that adds to his mystique though.
Yeah.
Because
I feel though
I'm
that I think he's going to feed that in. I think they're going to piecemeal some of that together if the book continues. I think you'll see a little bit more of his characters, at least a little bit more of the background,
yeah.
more how it all links into that whole hotel Black Cat. And
No, yeah, with a character like that, because it's a great introductory issue. But if you're gonna continue this, you gotta give yeah, he's got to be a character like Newburn is got to have endearing qualities,
mhm,
because then the audience won't be along for the ride. It's like, man, he does the right things, but he's a fucking dick. Like, we need a reason to be like, I understand why he is the way he is. We haven't been revealed that, I'm sure there's more than just he saw that cops were cooking and was like, I might as well just
right.
be doing shit on my own. I'm sure is a deeper layers to
And he's
that.
not, I mean, he can be a dick, but he also is good to Emily. He's concerned for her. His
No, it's,
interactions with her is usually
he's
pretty good.
But he's very cold, and I mean,
Right.
there's not one time where there's maybe one time where he warmed up to Emily, where he's like they were at the bar and drinking, and he said something like, he believed in her, and he keeps proving him right, like I'm glad I chose you or something along the lines of that. But he's we gotta see the reasons behind his stoicism and why he's so cut off emotional. Like, I'm sure he has like somewhat of, not is exaggerated, but I'm sure there's a Frank Castle moment in there where he
Well, I was just
was
gonna say that. I
a good
hope
guy.
we don't get the whole Frank Castle trope. He killed my family.
I don't
I
say
don't want
necessarily that
that.
his family died, but
I want something else. Maybe left him. His family left him or something.
yeah.
They're not dead, but they don't want any part of him, or he was framed, or so
Right.
they'll come up, I'm sure, with something to give his character either a little bit more sympathy or just have a little bit more of a background. And really, what started him off. I mean, we'll get a flashback to maybe a case when he was a cop too, because he was a cop for a good amount of time. So
Yeah, younger. Yeah, that's what that would be interesting. That for a first arc volume, I think they established a very cool world that they've left seeds for more to grow, or like other areas to explore. Different time periods. Maybe they, instead of doing flashbacks, maybe like a mini series or something like that focuses on just that time, certain period in time. But yeah.
Yeah, as I said before, it was
definitely.
eight issues. I felt it was a good length. It never really dragged. I was always interested throughout.
I feel like it might have been able to be been
6.
done in 6 issues. Yeah, but like you said, it didn't drag. I didn't mind being in this world. So, but yeah. I don't know why 6. Maybe just because the pacing wasn't bad to me, but I don't know. Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
stay
and I like the artwork was fantastic for this type of world. I thought it fit it very well. The colors were done well. I think this book would even work in black and white
Yeah,
to a degree.
yeah, I can see it.
You know, a lot of it is just the other thing I noticed too is you notice like some of the incidental characters in this book, like the background ones that don't really matter all that much. They're not drawn with the same level of detail
Detail, yeah.
as the main characters. You'll notice a lot of the other characters, if you look at some of the faces that we showed, you go back and find, like, you notice really the detail here in this is a lot, you know, really very detailed in the faces. And
I
then,
noticed that with the Yakuza, the dude that killed the Yakuza
right,
boss, that I was like, they just kind of gave him a mustache and some eyes, and not that it's bad, but yeah, I mean that's you want your main characters to be distinct, you know,
right,
that way the audience focuses on them.
right,
Salvatore Dig was done well for being a side character, I would say.
right, yeah. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and the coloring when they were all in the orange jumpsuits, you know, that's when it kind of pops. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to hopefully reading more of this series. I don't know what's in the cards, or you know, he's a pretty in-demand guy now with Batman and some of the other stuff he has coming out. So I don't know when.
He's leaving Daredevil in August, so
That's
his
what I
I
heard.
believe he is not under exclusive contract, so that's good. So he might be putting more work towards his indie work.
Well, I know. Yeah, I know.
More
He
time.
was one of those guys that went over that whole Substack thing. But I'm not sure what's
There's
going
quite
on
a
with
few.
that. Whether it kind of fell through or whether
I
they're
believe people
still.
they're still rocking with it.
Yeah.
Because I think that all that is because I know James Tynion. I believe Public Domain might have been a Substack book, and eventually that
Mm-hmm.
came to Image. So it's like I think that's just like more of an exclusivity thing,
And then it goes through
and
eventually.
yeah, like a publisher.
Well, so overall rating this book, I'm going to give it, for me, I really enjoyed it overall. The story, the drawing, the characters. As I said, very relatable story, something that could be live action pretty easily. And I'm going to give it four stars. I enjoyed it. It's not a 5, I don't think. I don't know what would make it a 5, but it's
You know,
4
that's
for me.
okay. That's okay.
Yeah,
No,
it's 4 for me. I
I
think it's done very well, and it bodes well. I mean, interesting is this style would fit really well in Batman because you know with a lot of the goings ons there, and if he transfers some of the stuff, how he writes Bullock and those guys would be very interesting. The GCPD and stuff like that. Give this guy a GCPD story. I don't think a couple of them have come out, but seems like he could write one pretty well.
got a million other Batman books. Why not? You know.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'd like to see him slow down the Batman books, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. So, your opinion on it and characters and such?
I'm right there with you. I'll give this a 4. Maybe I was leaning to 4.5. I think a 4 is more accurate. It's a solid first entry to a world that he's introducing new characters. And I'll be sticking around for more. I'm curious to see what happens next. So I think and it was a unique spin on the crime aspect. I don't think I ever usually see from like the fixer's point of view. Like I've read a book called Criminal, Ed Brubaker and
I was
Sean
going to say
Phillips,
some
Jacob
of this
Phillips there.
reminds me of some of Ed Brubaker's stuff.
It
I
could
think
definitely fit in the
yeah,
criminal world just from a hero's perspective almost, because criminal's always from the criminal's perspective.
right.
This is the same world just from a hero
Sort of
perspective.
anti-hero. Very good.
Anti-hero, yes.
That's right. All right, so we both enjoyed this. Hopefully, it'll get more volumes, and we'll come back to it at some point. So next week is Link's pick. And what did you pick for next week? What are we reading?
We're going to do the first volume of Uncanny X-Force by Rick Remender and Jerome Pena.
He's back to Rick Remender.
We're going to do the Remender love
now,
for a bit.
It'll be interesting for me because I'm mostly an old school type of X-Men guy. I haven't kept up on it. I've read a lot of the old stuff, but not too much of the new stuff. Will I be lost? Will I be able to figure out what's going on? Where was this run? When did this come out?
Yes, it came out
like
2010, the tail end of 2010.
Okay. Yeah, I know they have 2 volumes of omnibuses out. with his work. So apparently he must have did quite a bit of work with the X-Men Remender. So that'll be interesting for me to see. We'll be talking about that. I'm sure, as I said, Lynk will be the go-to guy.
But no, I was sorry. I just said there's a lot of outside background.
You're gonna have to explain the last stuff to me, I think.
No, it reads pretty. He's good. It's good. It's a fine run. I'd say it's one of the best X-Men runs in the last 20 years. Like for 2000s, it's one of the top 5 X-Men runs or X-Men related runs.
Cool.
Easy.
All right, so that's next week. We'll be with Volume 1 of the Uncanny X-Men by Rick Remender.
X-Force, Uncanny X-Force.
Oh, Uncanny X-Force. Why did I say X-Men?
Because I mean, it is Uncanny X-Men, but this is where X-Force got different. It added the Uncanny because they
were all Uncanny at some point.
We haven't had an Uncanny X Factor or on Generation X, but I would still buy those.
Okay. All right, so we'll see for my first time reading that, and we'll see how it goes. And
it's only 4 issues. Breezy read.
It'll be a quick breeze right through it. If it doesn't have a lot of balloons, wood balloons. All right, so be with us next week for that. We're going to be doing that, and then be with us tomorrow night. Tomorrow night on Dylan's show, he's going to be doing The Faculty from 1999. No show on Saturday because that is Saturday's show. Sunday, we will be doing a movie on my show, which I don't remember what it is now.
Forgot your own movie.
What the hell am I doing next week? This week. I know what we're doing. We're doing
Aliens.
Monday night,
that's Monday.
Monday night is Aliens. James Cameron Aliens on Monday, and then Sunday night is I don't even remember what the heck I'm doing Sunday night. Oh, Shoot 'Em Up with Clive Owen.
Clive Owen, Paul Giamatti, Monica.
Shoot 'Em Up. That's gonna be a good one. I haven't seen that in years, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. So come back and join us on those shows. Should be a good time. Thank you for coming in, and don't forget, keep reading your comics. Keep having issues with people like me and Lynk, and we'll catch you guys later. What?